Hi, Focus and Vision family. How you guys doing? Katie and Michael here. Thriving Thursdays. We are so excited to be with you this afternoon. So we're going to come at you today talking about something I have been in dialogue for probably 6 months now, and that is both and versus either or. As I was out on mission in Chicago, uh, I had a great friend and colleague point out a whole lot that was going on around us regarding the um, George Floyd incident, regarding the looting, regarding all the different events that were happening simultaneously. And then to compound that, the pressure that the soldiers and airmen were getting with social media, essentially pinning them against one another. And I've been processing this idea behind either or versus both and. And I brought that home to Katie, and I think that we both have a understanding and a handle on how important it is for us to understand that it's not either or. It is both and. How do you interpret or see that, babe?
Yeah, I don't know if you brought the idea to me, but
There you go. Here we go again. Another manhole plate.
however, yeah, I think we tend to categorize and look at things in either or when just as people, we aren't built to be either or people. People are very complex.
Mm,
And so we're multifaceted, right? So, me, I could like, pizza and hate ice cream, which I don't, but I could, um, but somebody else, could like pizza and like ice cream. So we wouldn't fit like in the exact same category for that. But all I'm saying is it just depends on what you're looking at, that you can have places where things overlap more often than you have them totally separated and distinct and opposite, if you will, even. So I think before I get into details, do you have more details?
well, I just like to, as you were talking, things are coming to my mind, and there's not many things that I know about that are in their pure state either this or this. They are usually a combination of things. There's this idea that even before we started this video, I mentioned to Katie that our salvation is the only thing that I know about, that there's one thing, right? And that's Jesus Christ. Because after that, it's all things. All things work together for good to them that love the Lord. Even when it comes to our salvation, the scriptures tell us to confess with your mouth, right? Um, and that's verbalize and believe in your heart. So that's also a combination of things. And I'm sure there are people that would argue with me with that or discuss or however you want to 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 name that. But what I find peculiar is that we oftentimes, rather than embrace something else and it be as valid as our own position, we would much rather be opposing something else. And I think that that is part of some of the major problems that we're having in our society today.
So I think to put it maybe in a little more tangible, excuse me, means one of the things I've been thinking during this COVID time is like people are like, oh, this time is really bad or it's really hard. And yeah, it's been
It is.
really hard or at times really bad. But I think that there's things that we could all point to. I know that we can point to. There's been a
Mm-hmm.
lot of benefits to our marriage, to our family, um, to our intentionality and our focus during this time. So if we were to just like say, oh, this time has been bad, then we would be missing out on all the positives that have come out of this. And if we said it was good, then we would say, okay, well, yeah, it's been good, but there's been some really hard struggles too, right? So we can't really be authentic in saying it's one or the other. And I think what people want to do, or what makes us comfortable, is to put things in categories. It makes it easy. So like in the morning, I was thinking about my daughter today when I knew we were going to do this. So she has a really hard time making decisions. And so if she has too many choices, to pick from, it's like, we're going to be here all day. I don't want to be here all day. We're going to need to have breakfast and move on. So I'll give her two choices, right? This or this. And the reason being, because it makes an easier choice. And I think we like distinguishing things because it feels easier, but that isn't always the way that makes the most sense in that particular circumstance. So one thing Michael and I have been talking about as well right now is like what we've created as a democracy of having like two political parties.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this party probably doesn't completely disagree on every front in every way with all the things from this party. That's probably not in reality what it's like. Because if you think, could all people really be put and labeled in one category over here or one category over here, especially as like in terms of political parties? I think that would be really hard to say, that we would line up with all the things in one category, right? So what has that done? That's made people assign themselves to a category instead of looking at things from a holistic picture, right? And that jams us up. And what it does is it causes division. So those categories and those either ors push us away from each other instead of drawing us closer. And when we can see the both and, like, yeah, I love my children. Sometimes they don't tell the truth. Does that mean that like I call them a liar? Like I put them in the category of liar? No. So what does that have to do, right, with what we're talking about, Thriving Thursdays, is like that expands our mind, right? Yeah. We have the ability, don't you think, to be welcoming to people and listen to people and hear what people have to say instead of just assigning them into a category like, oh, you don't like the same music I do, you're going over here, or you don't watch the same things I watch, or you go to a different denomination of church than I do, so you're over here. When, we've heard this term, but there is so much more that is both and we have in common than we do separate.
I also think it limits us. Either or limits us. In the grand scheme of things, the more that we can both and see that my view and your view, although we may not disagree, there is something there that we can find, that we can share, more so than taking the easy route to find out what it is that divides us, right? Yeah. So I also believe that if we can point to the both and, here's the chaplain and the preacher in me. Jesus came for all. Yeah. Jesus came to eliminate the either and or, and came to unite us in Him so that we all will be able to be called sons and daughters of God. And I think that when we, as we journey over the next few days, I encourage you to vote. Yes, vote, whatever you're going to do. However you vote, make sure you vote. I think that there are some great things to look at on both sides of this thing. And I'm not here to push anybody one way or the other, but I am here to push you to vote and vote your conscience, whatever that might be. Also, as we look at this both and, understand that this is how we reach out to neighbors. This is how we welcome one another. This is how, as Jesus says and answers the question, that we are to love the Lord our God with all our heart, all our soul, all our strength, and likewise, right? And likewise, love our neighbor. So there it is, a both and again. So as we wrap this up, I believe, and I think that we are unified, Katie and I, in pressing up against this idea, either this or this, and pushing the both and that is what's going to help us thrive. As days come and change come, as we continue to navigate COVID and what it looks like and how it's changed how we live life in general, work, educate, play, whatever that looks like, communicate, socialize. All those things are going to be different, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be bad. So I encourage you to think about the both and then see yourself thriving in a different way.
Yes. Amen.
We love you. Talk to you next time.
Bye.